And I have to admit, fear, it will always be there. And it's not bad, it's just the way
Yeah.
you deal with fear. Because
Mm,
now I'm more conscious of my fear. And whenever a fear comes up, I just coach myself. And I
yeah.
ask myself questions like, why do I feel afraid? Why is this coming up? And what am I afraid of? And
Mm.
yeah, I really coach myself in this.
Welcome to the Woman Worriers podcast. You worry, I worry, we all do. If you're paying attention to the world today, there's a lot for women to feel worried and anxious about. As we explore the worries with curiosity and compassion, we learn to live more authentically and unleash the warrior within, someone who is strong, capable, and resilient, come what may. It's time to stop battling against yourself and start using your powers to meet everyday challenges with energy, purpose, and bravery. Now here's your host, Elizabeth Cush.
Today's episode is brought to you by 3 Invitations to Come Home to You. If you'd like to learn how to feel more at home in yourself, you can sign up for your free invitations at elizabethcushcoaching.com. Welcome back to the Woman Worriers podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth Cush, and I'm very excited about our guest today. But before we get started, the coaching business is up and ready, and I'm so excited to have it launched. So if you are a woman who is feeling like they need more connection to themselves and others in their lives, if there is a part of you that is feeling unfulfilled, I would love to work with you. I'm excited about the business. You can find me at elizabethcush.com or elizabethcushcoaching.com. And we can set up a discovery call and see if I'm the right person to work with you, if we would make a good match. So today I'm talking to another life coach and business coach. Her name is Silvije Gurung. She and I met through her Facebook group, and then we did a quick Zoom call to kind of get to know each other. And I invited her on the podcast, and I'm excited to have her. She lives in the Netherlands and has been through her own healing journey and is now sharing what she learned with her clients. Today, we're going to be exploring fear, talking about fear, and how to approach our fears as women to move beyond and grow and feel more empowered in our lives. So, Silviye Gurung is the founder of Happy Insider and the creator of the Facebook group Intuitive Women in Business. She's a business and life coach for soulful fempreneurs who want to amplify their boldness to get more clients with ease. She is just a kind soul and just a lot of really good energy from her. And that was why I wanted to have her on the podcast. So I'm excited to share our conversation, and let's get started. Hi, Silvije. Welcome to the Woman
Hello.
Worriers podcast.
Nice to meet you.
It's so great to have you here. I'm excited I know we had a brief Zoom conversation or phone conversation, I forget which, Zoom,
Yeah.
a while back. And
Yeah.
that was how we connected, but we've
Yeah.
connected through Facebook, and it's
Yeah.
nice to have you on the podcast.
So I'm so happy to be here and to be talking with you.
Yeah. If you wouldn't mind just sharing with the listeners what inspired you and a little bit about you, but also what
Yeah,
inspired you to be a life and business coach?
of course. So I'm Silvia, and I'm the founder of Happy Insider. And what I do is I help coaches captivate soulmate clients and get fully booked through organic marketing strategies.
Mm,
And of course, I also really work on the mindset, because mindset is very important when you have your business.
mm-hmm.
What really inspired me, that's actually a very long story. But yeah, I used to not really live my purpose. I was just, living on automatic pilot, I would say.
Yeah.
And I was not really enjoying my life. I just had jobs and I was not really thinking about it. And I was not really happy.
Mm,
And that till a point, I got a burnout.
yeah.
And actually, if I'm looking back, I'm really happy that burnout happened, because that burnout really allowed me finally to think about my life, to think about myself. Like, hey, what do I actually want in my life? What do I want to do? Yeah, really work on myself, because I was not doing that, or I was not thinking about those things.
Right.
So it allowed me to stop and to rest and to be more conscious. And at that point, I was thinking, hey, I have some issues with my mindset. I have some things from the past that I didn't heal. And I was like, okay, now is the perfect time to start doing something about it. I want to change. I want to change my life.
Yeah.
I don't want to live like I used to live before. So I decided, and that was very hard for me at that moment, because I was the kind of person, I didn't like to be vulnerable. I didn't like to open up.
Wow. That must have
Yeah.
made it hard. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to do things I find really difficult, going to therapy, group therapy. So having to open up for a group of strangers.
Wow.
Yeah, that was difficult for me in the beginning.
I bet.
Yeah, that was, but I'm so happy I did. I completely changed. And yeah, there was group therapy, was for 6 months. And I think already after 2 months, everything changed for me. Everything. Like my whole mindset changed. And I was like, whoa, this is so powerful. And I want to help others with all the techniques that I learned from there, which were actually very simple.
Yes. Simple, but not always
Yeah.
easy, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how it all started. And I changed my own mindset. I faced my own fears, because the main problem I had was a fear.
Yeah.
Fear of failure.
Mm.
And that came really from my childhood.
Yeah. And I feel as if so many women, and I know your focus of your coaching business is for women, but that so many women
Exactly.
carry these fears that
Yes. Yeah.
we may not even be aware of, but that really can hold us back. If you wouldn't mind addressing some of what you see, or even about your own fears. You said fear of failure, which is a huge one, right? Perfectionism and not wanting to
Yeah,
get
that's a
things
huge
wrong.
one.
Yeah. But what do you see? Like what do you think is why do you think that women are more prone, I think, to sort of living a fearful life?
Well, that's a very interesting question. Also very question that goes very deep, I have to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I can give a good example. I watched a movie, and I can really recommend watching that movie if you haven't watched that one yet.
Okay.
And it's called I'm Not an Easy Man. And in that movie, a man who's really like this male chauvinist, he bumps his head, and suddenly, it's a funny movie as well, suddenly the world changes, and the gender roles are reversed.
Huh.
So women are suddenly, they have the power.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's completely crazy. And it really shows in that movie, like how women are treated normally, and how the roles, how that works. And what I really see in this society is completely led by men. And we women, we feel like we should be more in the background. We cannot be we cannot put ourselves out there, because otherwise we're being bitchy, or we're being maybe too emotional, or there's so many things where there's so many in the society that women how can I say it?
Like we have to accommodate almost, right? We
Yeah.
have to, yeah.
And if we're not, for example, look a certain way, for example, we're either too sexy, or we're either too, I don't know, we're either ugly or we're sexy, or it's never good enough. And I think that's the problem. It's never good enough.
Right.
For us women.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem.
Yeah. That we
That's
have
really
to
the
present a
problem.
certain way. We have to
Yeah.
behave a
Yeah.
certain way. And that when we
Exactly.
step out of those boundaries, then
Yeah.
suddenly we're labeled
Yeah.
as, a slut or a bitch
Yeah.
or a,
Exactly. So what
yeah.
I really see also with my clients, with a lot of women, and also of course myself have experienced this as well,
Mm-hmm.
we're really afraid to put ourselves out there. Yeah, to put ourselves out there, to
Mm-hmm.
really show our value and to give ourselves, a voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're so afraid of being judged.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Like, what
Yeah.
will others think of me? How will I be
Exactly.
seen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I know for myself
Yeah.
over the last, I don't know, I've been doing therapy for a long time, but most
Yeah.
recently recognizing how often it is that it's fear that is either driving me away or towards something else, that it's not
Yeah.
that and it's not necessarily like a fear. I have to really go deep inside to recognize that that's what
Yeah.
it is, that
Yeah.
that's there.
Yeah.
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 And so obviously, if we're living a life driven by fear, it feels as
Yeah.
if like we're probably missing out on a lot, that it's holding
Yeah.
us back from a lot of stuff,
Exactly.
right? Whether it's
Yeah.
work or personal or whatever.
Yeah. Fear holds us really back. And I had the same problems. It was completely holding me back from doing things I really wanted to do.
Mm,
And really from, stepping up. I was really afraid of stepping up more.
yeah,
And that's the same with so many people I coach.
I
It's
bet.
exactly the same.
Yeah. Well, and if you're choosing to, whether it's shifting your career or
Yeah.
exploring new avenues in
Yeah.
your personal life or whatever, and there's a lot of fear, it does feel like you could be living a very small life when
Yeah.
potentially there's so much more.
And I have to admit, fear, it will always be there. And it's not bad, it's just the way
Yeah.
you deal with fear. Because
Mm,
now I'm more conscious of my fear. And whenever a fear comes up, I just coach myself and I
yeah.
ask myself questions like, why do I feel afraid? Why is this coming up? And what am I afraid of? And
Mm,
yeah, I really coach myself in this. And
mm-hmm.
for example, I'm going to start a mastermind. I'm really going to
Mm.
scale up my business.
Wow, that's exciting.
And yeah, I invested in this 7-figure coach who's really amazing. And it's a group, a mastermind. And
Mm,
all the coaches, they are also like, some coaches are already like earning 100K a month.
wow.
So it's really a big step forward for
Mm-hmm.
me. It's starting on Friday, and I was really feeling afraid. I was really like, freaking
Right.
out.
Right. What like imposter syndrome? Do I really belong? Like that would be what's coming up for me, right? Like, do I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was also, the fear. And I noticed that the fear of, hey, I'm going to move forward. I'm going to go out of my comfort zone and I'm
Yeah.
really going to step up my game.
Mm.
And that made me super afraid, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. It
yeah.
sounds terrifying to me.
Yeah, it is. But at the same time, I thought, hey, I'm feeling super afraid. It's because I'm going to do that on Friday. I'm going to start that. And it's okay. It means that I'm going into the right direction.
Yeah. Well, just something you said a little bit ago, just about like when you're noticing your fears,
Yeah.
it sounds as if you're really sort of exploring them versus
Yeah.
like, I shouldn't be afraid. I'm stupid
Of
for,
course.
like
Yeah,
putting the shame on top of the fear.
exactly.
Just allowing yourself to get curious and
Yeah, it's
figure.
okay to feel. It's okay to feel.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone feels this way, even when someone is very successful or, everyone feels fear or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. It's
that's
like a
perfectly
natural
fine.
emotion, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. That's what it's like to be human. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I
Yeah.
think too, for women, it's healthy to be fearful
Yeah.
in some ways because we are vulnerable
Yeah.
to violence and sexual assault and a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah, fear is actually a system that works for us to protect ourselves.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But we don't want it to get in the way of
No.
us. We don't want it to be in charge, right? We want it
Of
to.
course not. We don't want fear to control us. That's why when fear comes up, we need to think like, what is happening in our bodies? Why is this happening to me? And
Mhm.
why am I afraid?
Yeah. And so you said that group therapy helped you sort of recognize some of these patterns for
Yeah.
yourself. Were there certain, I don't know, tools or things that you learned that have really helped you move past those fears or better understand them?
Yeah, exactly. Well, actually, in the beginning, I was very like skeptic because
Mhm.
they were so simple, simple things
Yeah.
like a trigger diary. A trigger
Mhm.
diary. Every time when you experience the fear,
Mhm.
write it down. What happened? What made you feel afraid? What was the situation? How did you respond to that?
Yeah.
And how real did it feel? I
Mm.
was like, can that really help me? But using that,
Yeah.
all the time,
Uh-huh.
I really became more aware. And
Yeah.
then I started to recognize it. Every time it came up, I was like, hey, I feel this fear popping up. And
Hmm.
hey, I could then, after some time, I could challenge my way of thinking. I created this other voice. It's
Mm.
called in therapy, we call it the healthy adult,
Nice.
popped up. And I just talked then to that fear and like, hey, do I really need to be afraid? Is it really that scary? You know?
Mhm.
So that really helped me, and also other techniques, of course. But this was one of the most powerful ones. Just
Yeah.
becoming really aware of your fears.
Yeah. I would say for my therapy clients, I mean, all change, the first step has to be awareness, right? Like we
Yes,
have to
exactly. Yeah.
know. Yeah. I like that idea, that trigger diary, just to
Yeah.
sort of keep it in the forefront of like, oh, okay, that happened again. And I can record that and kind of explore it. But yeah, just allowing yourself to be with it instead of pushing it away.
Yeah, exactly. And
Mm,
now I use it with my clients. Yeah,
I
it
bet.
works really well.
Yeah. And so the work that you do with the clients when they're coming to, you're coaching clients, whether it's business or life coaching, like what typically are they coming to you to help them do? Like what is it that they're looking for?
Well, it's several things. And it's, for example, it's mostly mindset in combination because I'm a life and business coach. So
Hmm.
it's a combination of mindset and getting also at the same time getting more clients, how they can get more clients.
Okay.
And mostly what they need is getting more clarity. So someone who helps them getting clarity, ask them questions about that, and with their marketing
Hmm.
and overcoming their fears, really putting themselves more out there.
Yeah.
And for example, I had this client, Laura, she came to me and she was super scared to put herself out there
Hmm.
because she was first working offline
Okay.
and now she went to online.
Hmm.
So she was really, really scared to put herself out there and this whole online world, social media world.
Yeah. Yeah.
But after a couple of sessions, she just really put herself out there. And I also helped her with the business side, what she can do, like with social media.
Hmm.
Yeah, she
Well,
did really well.
I would imagine that, and I'm going to speak totally from my personal experience too, is that
Yeah,
that with as an entrepreneur, as a
yeah,
business owner, and knowing that marketing is a huge part of putting ourselves out there,
yeah,
that is for me is such a vulnerable, fear-filled part of my job
yeah,
that here if I there's pre-pandemic, I ran in-person
yeah,
women's groups to help them, learn how to be more mindful. And really, it was
yeah.
a lot of support. Uh,
Okay.
But marketing those groups was one of the hardest things because basically I'm putting myself out there to say, please come and work with me.
Yeah.
And there were times when I tried marketing it probably at, I think it was too close to Christmas, where I didn't get enough people. And it came back to me as like this personal failure. Like I didn't do whatever.
Yeah.
And that's it is a very vulnerable place to be, marketing.
Yeah, marketing.
Doing it authentically.
Yeah. And there are several strategies to do that. And for me, what really works, like you already said, being authentic, being yourself, being really yourself, and really thinking, okay, how would I like to be approached? How would I like to, join a group, or what would attract me?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that really works. Being creative in that, coming up with different ideas.
Yeah.
And really building relationships with people. Especially during this time, people really want to build a relationship.
Yeah.
Most people are, I don't know over there, but here people are still, we are at home, we have a curfew, and there's not much connection going on. So everything is online. So people want to connect with others.
Yeah.
And if you really put that in your marketing, connecting with others, that would really help you.
Yeah. Well, I'm absolutely. And we didn't even talk about where you are. So tell us a little bit about where because we are talking like across the world here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
I'm in the Netherlands. Yeah, I'm in a small city in the Netherlands, in Enschede. It's close to the German border.
Okay.
And yeah, right now we're in a lockdown. I think most people are in a lockdown.
Yeah.
And
well,
curfew.
Not here.
Oh, not there. Lucky you.
Well, lucky or not lucky. There's very little government wide, it's all state by state. I think you and I talked about that before.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. But so curfew, so you're really restricted in terms of going out and about.
Going out. Yeah. It's not too bad, because I heard a friend told me that she couldn't go outside after 5, which I think is crazy. But here it's 9 p.m.
Okay. Yeah. So no late night partying and drinking or whatever.
No, otherwise staying over.
Right.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. But so connection for sure. And
Yes,
how, I guess I'm curious about how you help women sort of overcome this sense of like, am I good enough? Am I expert enough? Who am I to be a person marketing these things or putting myself out there and selling myself? That kind of imposter syndrome of like, am I good enough?
Yeah.
That's mindset, I'm sure. But
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Well, of course, there's several things that you can do and that I use, of course. And also, of course, that I did for myself or helped myself with. Well, what helps, like I said, awareness in the beginning.
Yeah.
Really becoming aware. Where is that coming from? Why do you feel that way? For me, the fear of failure, for example, that came from a teacher. I think many people maybe experience this.
Trauma from school.
Yeah, exactly. I was 6 years old, and we always gathered. And then the teacher, I think it was, I was not really good at math, still not really good at it. And she would ask questions like about the tables, and I didn't know the answer, and she would yell at me and get really angry in front of all the other children.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, and I would be, I would feel so ashamed, so scared. And every time, since that moment, every time when that happened, every time I was afraid, like, oh, shit, I don't know the answer, or I don't know. And I was really afraid that I was going to make a mistake. And of course, that made it harder to answer the question.
Wow.
So yeah, that really caused it. And being aware of that, where that comes from, and it's usually from your childhood.
Yeah.
That also really helps in processing it.
Yeah, I know so much of my own fears come from early childhood experiences. just really not learning how to handle fear either,
Yeah.
really not knowing how to
Exactly.
help me soothe myself, like how to feel better
Yeah.
in the moment, and just sort of walking around being fearful a lot of the time and really not
Yeah.
knowing what to do with that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because you really developed some way of thinking.
Right.
Because of that experience, you think about fear in a certain way. Like, okay, every time when someone is going to ask me a question, I'm going to be afraid that I'm not going to give the right answer, because then I will feel like the same, like the 6-year-old me.
Right.
And that triggers you. So you have to change that. You have to rewire that and change completely the way you think about those situations.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I feel like so much of it is that awareness, recognizing that it
Yeah.
is sort of the
Yeah.
6-year-old response to
Yeah.
an adult
Exactly.
experience where, soothing that 6-year-old to be like, it's okay. We are
Yeah.
safe. This is a
Yeah.
safe experience. We can do this. Can be really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. Like with my therapy, it was all about the inner child.
Mm.
And we were talking about, we were going really deep into that inner child. And you had like the vulnerable child, angry child, like so many different kinds.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then also parents like demanding and of the health,
Judgmental or
judgmental, healthy adult. And that one
Yeah.
was really good. That one was the one that you needed to bring up more.
Yes. Yes.
So going really deep into that, and that really helped, going really deep into that and being aware of those things.
Well, it
Yeah.
just like, to me, all of that work, that inner child, the parts work,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it, it's just I feel like helps make you a more integrated, grounded self, right? I mean, we're more aware of those parts that may show up, but when we respond differently and are aware, then we can come from that more healthy adult part.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
So, Silvije, I'm so happy that you got to be with us on the podcast today, and especially the fact that we can coordinate even when you're in the Netherlands. That's so amazing to me. I've talked to one other woman in the Netherlands. I've talked to someone in New Zealand, Australia.
Nice.
It's really the best part of podcasting for me is the connection with other women all around the world. But I would love for people to know how to find you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I would love to connect with others. And if they really feel like, hey, I want to reach out to her, you can find me on my website, happyinsider.com, or my Instagram, happyinsider, or also Clubhouse.
Awesome.
Recently I joined.
Did you? I did too, and I don't really know what to do with it, but I'm on there.
Oh, okay. I still want to collaborate. I'm still looking to collaborate with people. I haven't really done something in there. I want to do some rooms in there. Okay. So if you want to,
we'll connect.
Up for that.
Okay. All right. Well, cool. I will figure out how to do that.
Nice. And I want to thank you because it was so nice talking with you. I really enjoyed our talk. And thank you so much. It was very nice.
Thanks, Silvije. This week's episode is brought to you by 3 invitations to come home to you. We all have different parts or voices we hear that can influence how we act, how we feel, and how we engage with the world. When we can get curious and learn more about all of our parts with compassion, we begin to feel more at home in ourselves. I'd like to invite you to explore some of your parts with the 3 invitations to come home to you. When you sign up, you'll gain access to the prompts that will be your guide to help you get to know you and your parts a little bit better. To get access to your prompts and find out more about working one-on-one with me, go to elizabethcushcoaching.com. Well, I hope you enjoyed that conversation. I think that approaching our fears, working with our fears versus battling against them or shaming ourselves for having them is really, really so important. And It's a skill that isn't easy to come by, and having a coach or a therapist to really help you explore your fears and move beyond them can be so empowering and powerful. I hope you'll check out Silvia's website and Facebook group and all of that. As I said, she is a kind soul, and from just talking with her, I'm sure she's doing really, really good work with her clients. So I hope you all have a wonderful week. I hope you pay attention to your fears. What's coming up for you as you approach new situations or life changes or transitions? And can you approach them with compassion and curiosity? Have a wonderful week. Ciao for now from this Woman Worrier.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of Woman Worriers podcast. The information in this podcast is not a substitute for seeking help from a licensed mental health professional. Music was written and performed by Andy Cush. If you'd like more information on this episode, you can find the show notes, the resources shared today, and links to the guest profiles at womanwarriors.com.